Heroes never die.
Oh, hi there, and welcome to Pokemon Sun and Moon Part 2. Nobody's home. Of course it's the doorbell, Mom. What else makes that kind of noise? And why am I the one who always has to go and answer the door? Why can't you do it? And why do I even bother if the guy's just gonna let himself in anyways? Sheesh, I thought I was bad when I came to barging into people's homes. This guy's just like, yeah, I'm gonna let myself in. Maybe if somebody locked the door. Today is apparently the day of that festival thing we're supposed to go to, and I'm sure it'll be a wonderful time. Now that I think about it, I'm kind of wondering what they do at Pokemon festivals. Is it like partying in real life? Do we go and dance and drink and be merry? And I guess we'll have to go find out. But first, the professor wants to show us something on Route 1, and he wants us to pretend we're a Pokemon. Professor Cuckoo is telling us to use agility like we're a Pokemon, and I'm going to use agility in the opposite direction, but I can't go that way because the game's scripted. Huzzah! No, you have to follow the professor, and he's going to lead you over to the right side of Route 1, and he's going to teach you the tried and true classic tutorial on how to catch wild Pokemon. Now, while he does that, I'm going to go over my plans for wild Pokemon in this walkthrough, because at this point you probably have a good idea of how to catch wild Pokemon, and if you don't, just pay attention to what he says. Anyways, wild Pokemon in this game are a disaster from a walkthrough coverage standpoint. In past Pokemon games, you'd go to a route and the Pokemon would be uniformly the same across the entire route. Now in Sun and Moon, different parts of different routes can have different Pokemon, and there's these things called Sos Battles, which I'll cover in the future, and there's day and night, and it's really a mess. So, I'm going to do my absolute best to cover wild Pokemon throughout this walkthrough, and one of my personal goals that I may or may not actually succeed in is I am going to be trying to complete the Alolan Pokedex. There's 301 Pokemon in it, and we're going to see how it goes. Along the way, I'm going to rate the Pokemon that we come across on a Pokeball system. If I give a Pokemon a Pokeball, it means it's a bad Pokemon that isn't really worth using unless you like it. If I give a Pokemon a Greatball, it means it can situationally be okay, but it's definitely outclassed by better options. And if I give a Pokemon an Ultraball, that means it's definitely a Pokemon that you can build a team around. And obviously I'm going to also have a Master Ball rating for like the unique legendary Pokemon. Those are like Pokemon that are unique and not normally encounterable on normal circumstances. Also, in past walkthroughs, I used to give a little like 30-second speech on each Pokemon available. There are so many Pokemon in Alola that for time purposes, I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to give detailed talks about the new Pokemon that you can encounter. And the first of those is Pikipek. It's a standard normal flying type Pokemon with 2 evolutions that are done through leveling. It's best used as an all-out attack Pokemon, and it has a unique move when it reaches its final evolution called Beak Blast. But as you will find with almost all the Alolan Pokemon that are new to 7th Gen that I'm going to be talking about, the speed stats are really terrible, and Pikipek is no exception. I give Pikipek a Greatball rating though. I think it's pretty decent, and I actually used one in my practice playthrough. Next Pokemon that you can catch here is Yungoos, and it's the game's standard normal type Pokemon with 1 evolution through daytime leveling. Its only real strength is its attack, and it's outclassed by Pikipek in almost every way. You'll notice that throughout the game, the 2 Pokemon parties that I use on Sun and Moon have a theme built around them, so I'm actually going to use Yungoos despite the fact that I think it's absolutely terrible and it's only getting a Pokeball rating from me. But we here at SS Productions don't care, and we like a challenge once in a while, so I also like having things to complain about. The other 2 Pokemon you can catch here at this point in time are Caterpie, which I give a Greatball rating, and the last Pokemon is a Ladybug, which gets a Pokeball rating from me. There are also 2 more Pokemon that you can catch here, but you can't do it right now because the game is scripted for the evening time. That is Rattata and Spinarak. I will show those in the next video. Now, the Pokemon that I just covered, those 6, are only catchable in the first 3 patches of grass in this segment of Route 1. As you walk up here, you're going to encounter your first trainer, and the trainer battles, unlike past Pokemon games where it was you had to walk by them in a specific line of sight, now if the Pokemon's trainer sprite makes eye contact with you, it'll trigger a Pokemon battle. Additionally, 2 other things I want to talk about real quick. Normally in my Pokemon walkthroughs, I've historically cut out wild Pokemon battles and sped up trainer battles. I am going to be doing the same as I've always done, where I cut out wild battles and speed up the trainer battles. However, the nice thing is I'm really changing up my system on how I cover Pokemon games. So now I'm going to actually give commentary during the trainer battles as well. Whew! Okay, I managed to successfully get out all the information I wanted to get out in the first, 6 minutes of this video. Sun and Moon really just throw a wrench into the whole traditional system of Pokemon, so I've had to do a lot of thinking about how I want to make this series, and hopefully it ends up coming out the way I want to. So be patient with me, I'm still working out some of the details on my editing. Head up here, grab yourself a Pokeball. There was also a potion earlier in the video, but I was so wrapped up in what I was talking about. So grab yourself the Pokeball. To the north of here is going to be a different route that is currently blocked off, and to the south of here is the part of Route 1 that we traveled on earlier, but that little preschooler is going to be like, nope, you can't go that way. So instead, head over here and pick yourself up an antidote. Antidotes obviously heal poison. This is nothing new for Pokemon games. Also, never pass up an opportunity to read the trainer tip signs. Pokemon in this game, like all others, gain experience points when you battle. And additionally, this was added in 6th gen. I can't remember if it was in 5th gen off the top of my head, but when you catch Pokemon, you also get experience for that. Now we're at a new section of the route, so there are a few new Pokemon you can catch here. The first of them is Pichu, and you're probably wondering why I'm covering Pichu. It's because it's the first Pokemon from the old school Pokemon that gets a unique Alolan form when it turns into Raichu, and it picks up the Psychic type. It actually kind of plays into Raichu's strengths a little bit more stat-wise, and I think Pichu and Alolan Raichu are actually really interesting Pokemon. Because of how early you can get this Pokemon in the game, I've decided to give it an Ultra Ball status, although historically I haven't always felt Pikachu is the best Pokemon, but I think Alolan Pikachu is really cool. To rival Pichu, as well as Caterpie on this route, is the Bug Electric type Vikavolt, which is new to 7th gen with 2 evolutions. However, the second evolution requires you to evolve it around the rock in the late game. Stat-wise, except for speed, it's actually really good, especially with an insane special attack. Unfortunately, its move pool is also not 10 out of 10 level. You need a lot of TMs to make it utilize that special attack stat. So for this Pokemon, I only give it a Great Ball status simply because of how late you can evolve it to its final form and its suboptimal move pool. Additionally, you can catch Metapod here, which is the evolved form of Caterpie, and I added that to my Pokedex as well, because, like I said, that's the goal. Now, later on, these last 2 patches of grass on this route are going to be able to access SOS battles once we are no longer in this tutorial phase of the game. I was under the impression SOS battles were available from the beginning, but I sat running around in the grass for an hour trying to trigger the SOS battles, and I had no success. So I'm going to cover SOS battles in a future video. For now, just know that later on you can come back here and also catch Pikachu and Happiny. But because they're only accessible through SOS battles, it is really hard to find them. SOS battles are like, they're tricky. I'll get into the details of them later, because I'm still actually trying to learn all the mechanics of them myself, because it just throws a whole corkscrew into the wild Pokemon system. Head over here, we can finally pick up the last Pokeball that we saw lying on the ground in the last video, and it's a Paralyze Hill, which I think speaks for itself. Heals paralysis. And we can finally go and party! Yes! It's been a long week, been tired, I've been working hard, I'm ready to party. And the Kahuna's gonna come over and greet you and talk about what this party's about. It's to worship our guardian Pokemon. Huzzah! The guardian deities protect each of the 4 islands. This is starting to sound like some creepy cultish religion. Not really sure if I want to be a part of this, Hala. Not sure if I want to be wrapped up in your weird religion, but then again, I was saved by the island guardian, so maybe I should be worshipping these weird deity Pokemon. Hello, How, and his little Rowlet. Didn't anyone explain to you about tonight? No? No? Nobody explained anything to me. Is there like some weird ritual where I have to like walk on hot coals or something? Because I didn't sign up for that. Oh, it's just a full-powered festival for battling. Oh boy. And I'm guessing I'm going to be a part of that with How. Shouldn't like some really important trainer be battling in this whole festival? Like the Kahuna himself? Like, why is me and How, like these 2 newbie trainers, being the ones to partake in this battle? Mind blown. Alrighty, well, this wasn't exactly what I had in mind when I was thinking party at the festival, but let us battle in the name of this island challenge. In the one corner, we have my son, my grandson, who I'm totally biased to because he's my family. And in the other corner, we have this nobody trainer who just happened to get the approval of Tapu Koko, because that happened. Not really sure how that happened, but it happened, and he'd be dead if it wasn't for that. Mom, you're embarrassing me. Hal, I just beat you to a pulp. Do you really want to do this again 2 days in a row? Very well, it seems I have no choice. Hal's back for round 2, and yes, though you did just fight him, he actually has added to his arsenal with a Pichu, level 6, electric type with the moves Thunder Shock, Charm, and Tail Whip. And because he has a Pichu, that actually counters 2 of the starter Pokemon, Rowlet and Popplio. So if you started with either of those Pokemon, this Pichu can actually give you some trouble if you didn't train on Route 1. In fact, if you were just rushing through Route 1, this might be one of the hardest Pokemon battles I've had in a long time in Pokemon. The first time I played through the game, I was rushing through it, and I think I lived with like 2 HP and a paralyzed Pokemon. It was pretty rough. So Pichu against Rowlet and Popplio is a struggle. I recommend that you definitely get your Pokemon leveled up on Route 1, as well as maybe catching something else just as backup. And then, of course, we're back to the starter Pokemon, and the starter Pokemon are the same as the last battle, they're just 2 levels higher. They're now at level 7. If you started with Litten like I did, he's going to have Rowlet, Grass Flying type with the moves Tackle, Leafage, and Growl. If you started with Popplio, it's going to be Litten, level 7, Fire type, Scratch, Ember, and Growl. And if you started with Rowlet, it's going to be a Popplio, Water type, Pound, Water Gun, and Growl. All in all, Hal actually puts up a challenge this time. It's quite a shocker, and I actually was surprised that the game designers seem to have made the game not quite as easy as the 6th gen games. I thought the 6th gen games were above and beyond really, really easy, but that also had to do with the fact they added the EXP share and they changed the mechanics of that, which I'll talk about when we actually get the EXP share. That'll probably be in about 2 parts. But all in all, Hal, pretty fun rival battle. I actually was thoroughly satisfied with this rival battle for once in my life, even though you did just fight him the previous day. Okay, so I did the battling. Can I do all the fun partying stuff now? I mean, Unfortunately, I'm only 11 years old in this game, so I can't actually do any drinking. It's funny, because the last time I made YouTube videos, I wasn't able to legally drink, and now I can. The days of getting drunk off of milk are now behind me. Kids, please drink safely and responsibly, and wait until you're old enough to do it. I am the ultimate bad example. I'm the ultimate bad... Actually, I'm not that bad of an example. I actually did wait until I was old enough, and I actually do drink safely and responsibly. And I can't believe I'm talking about drinking right now, because instead I should be talking about Z-Power. Ha 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 ha. Z-Power is like the replacement for the Mega Evolutions in 6th Gen. It's like they just completely abandoned the Mega Evolution idea in 6th Gen. They're like, Z-moves, this is the new thing of 7th Gen. And that's where the whole move theme comes into these games. So as you go through the game, you'll get these Z crystals, and you can use them to make your Pokemon use very overpowered, extremely awesome moves that have the longest animations ever. And oh boy, it's lots of fun. So that's Z moves, and we're going to be acquiring them by doing the Island Challenge, where we have to go around the 4 islands of Alola. And we get to take on trials, and Professor Cuckoo said he'll tell us a little bit more about that. And we'll learn more about that in the next video where he talks about our island trial. So, with that, our lovely party has come to an end. And it seems that it is time to head home. It has been a wonderful day, and there are many more adventures that will be had. I'm home, Mom. When you get back home, your mom's gonna be like, honey, I'm home. The first time I played this, I'm like, are you talking to me? And then she's like, oh, you're home. And I'm like, what? Oh, you were calling the cat honey? Okay, that one's a little bizarre for me. Oh, it was such a great battle. Mom, you're really embarrassing me. Well, it looks like the Island Challenge is ahead of us, but we'll have to save that for the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your morning, day, or night, and I will see you all next time. というか我が敵を食らう